What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Healthy Choices Wellness Center. I want to go over some of the data points, what came out from the company itself, and go over everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So HCWC I've been covering for quite some time. Even prior to that, I was covering HCMC before they did the whole spinoff. So very much familiar with their business, management. Largely, I've been bearish and very accurate, in fact. So even since the spinoff, it's gone down a solid 96.48%. But one thing I always admit is that they are improving. At least they're not going the opposite direction. All their kind of key metrics, for the most part, they are improving. So definitely good to see. And they broke their 8-month silence, and they actually did put out their earnings. And I feel like that's prompted a lot of individuals on social media to say, hey, this is a steal of a deal, blah, blah, blah. So that is what is prompting this video, in fact. So quickly going over here, this is where a common kind of issue does occur among retail. So for instance, they see a stock that has a market cap of about 5.44 million. If a company, let's say, is generating 78 million in revenue every single year, people would be saying, hey, what is going on? Like, why is this so discounted? So that most likely is what's prompting a lot of individuals to say that this is a screaming deal. But if we kind of look at this, on a side note, they again did break their kind of 8-month silence because the last news that they did out prior to this was on May the 12th. So it's been quite some time, so they haven't really put out that much in operational updates, and they didn't even do PRs for Q2 or Q3. But here they did put out their full year 2025, and they didn't actually break it down, and there's not really that much information, and there was no actual SEC filing at all. So this is very limited, so take that with a grain of salt, of course. So it just says that the results highlight significant double-digit growth in the top and bottom line. So again, they are improving. So it shows record annual revenue of 78 million. That is a 13% increase, 8.8 million over the previous year. They're talking about gross margin expansion, around 30 million in gross profit for the full year. This represents an annual gross profit increase of roughly 3.5 million over the prior year. And this is, again, nothing really relevant in my opinion. You have Jeffrey, who is the CEO, ultimately saying 2025 was a transformative year. And as I already signaled, I've been kind of very familiar with the company, so I've been calling them out. Even my last video, I kind of called them a scam. And actually, I've done that many times in the past, and in my opinion, very much accurate. Because Jeffrey Holman, who is the CEO and chairman of HCWC, doesn't really own any shares. So again, not necessarily the best. He has a little bit of a sketchy past, unfortunately. But saying 2025 was a transformative year, he said the same thing about 2024. So they're just trying to kind of rationalize their kind of lackluster growth. And what I mean by lackluster growth, yes, 13% increase is good, but to get to where it actually should, it's definitely not great whatsoever. So again, it is increasing, just not to kind of the magnitude that I personally would like. So since they didn't really break it down by the quarter as well, so Q4, 78 million for the full 2025. If we look at the last earnings, it shows 59.4 for that. So they were pretty much in line with the last quarter for the net sales. So they were at like 19.3. So nothing really substantial as far as that. But once again, when it comes down to this, people will see 5 million and them generating 78 million. People might think it's a good deal. But quickly popping right over here, looking at the actual financials. So a couple of things to be aware of. So cash and cash equivalents, 2.06 million. They didn't provide any update on that whatsoever for their full year 2025. So once they actually submit the SEC document, then that's where we'll be able to have a little bit more of a deeper look. But if we kind of look at some other things, so operating cash flow, negative 3.06 million. So in reality, they will need to dilute. And most likely that's actually going to be done I would assume by the end of this quarter, so by the end of Q1, if not early Q2. So that is also one thing that usually deters investors to get in, is when companies are on the verge of diluting. Plus, when companies actually lean on more convertible debt products, that again is another red flag. So typically people don't want to touch anything that has kind of debt lenders, because you're going to get diluted to kingdom come. And that is exactly why, despite the spinoff only occurring about 2 years ago or somewhere around there, technically this has gone down 96%, even though their actual fundamental business has grown, not to the same magnitude I would like to see, but still it is growing. It is because of dilution. At the same time, quickly popping over here, looking at their liabilities, 31.73 million. So in theory, yes, there is some pretty good value there, but is this worth getting in? Not until they actually do get rid of the convertible debt products. That's my own personal opinion. I have numerous YouTube channels, and some that actually target and call out companies such as HCWC because of them leaning on convertible debt. I get it, some companies have no other option. That's kind of the only thing that they can do to get money, because typical banks, or they don't have rich kind of investors behind the scenes, nobody wants to lend them money. So they have to go to these loan shark equivalents, and that is extremely damaging. So unless they can actually have, let's say, 40% year-over-year growth to pay off that, and also kind of counterbalance the massive amount of dilution, you are going to go down. So one thing as well I generally always look at, and have looked at for every stock, is shorts. Interestingly enough, shorts don't really care too much about this stock. So 0.76% of the free floats being shorted works out to be 122.91 thousand shares overall being shorted. So this definitely isn't a squeeze play. Shorts don't really care about it, and most likely that's because of the low volume. So for instance, even on Friday, only 254,000 shares. And yeah, with the price at 30 cents, like nobody's really touching it. So once again, normally this would not be on my radar, and I pretty much am wasting my breath because not many people actually watch these types of videos, but I feel very much committed to just giving updates on this stock, because way back in 2021, I was covering HCMC, and this is how they turned out. So this is, on the side note, the lowest price an OTC can go without them doing a reverse stock split, which is right here. So their last one was in 2016, a 1 for 20,000, but this company is dormant. There's absolutely nothing, no assets, just only intellectual property, copyrights, and so forth. It's pretty much dead. So at the end of the day, in my opinion, is this HCWC at a discount? A little bit, but is it worth investing in? Definitely not. Definitely not. So let me know your thoughts on this stock. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. If you are actually looking for some solid on-point buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all you watching.